Exposed. My granddaughter's shocking truth led to an amazing plan to protect Grandma's $250,000. Mia stumbled into her small kitchen, heart racing. The sunlight spilled through the window, illuminating the dusty corners of the room. She could feel the weight of her week pressing down on her shoulders. College classes, relentless assignments, and precarious finances swirled in her mind. But nothing prepared her for the gut-wrenching discovery she would soon make about her beloved grandmother. Helen.it was a routine Thursday. Yet her world was about to change. Mia had always admired Helen, a spirited 75-year-old widow who dedicated her life to caring for their family. With a robust spirit shaped by decades of determination, Helen embodied resilience. However, Mia had uncovered something terrifying about the very financial advisor Helen trusted, the man who was supposed to safeguard her $250,000 nest egg. Shocking truth, the words echoed in her mind as Mia read the report on the internet, her breath quickening. What if all those years of hard work, all those sacrifices, could be wiped away by a single corrupt man? Tears filled her eyes. Just as she was finding her footing in her own life, she felt that ground disappear from beneath her while trying to protect her grandmother. Mia looked at Helen across the dinner table, knitting needles dancing between her fingers while a soft smile lit her face. That image struck Mia like a punch to the gut. The softness of the moment was betrayed by the fear lurking in Mia's heart. She wanted nothing more than to support Helen, but was terrified of sacrificing her own future. A tidal wave of emotion poured over her. Helplessness collided with ambition, each like a competing weight on her chest. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The moment felt surreal, but there was no turning back. Mia had to fight not just for her grandmother, but for what generations of families in their small Ohio town represented. As her investigation deepened, she faced twisted oppositions, with neighbors rolling their eyes at a young girl meddling in adult affairs. She could feel the whispers inching through the community, morphing her and Helen's story into something unrecognizable. Mia, sweetie, Helen would say, her voice filled with warmth, yet Mia sensed the worry beneath. Despite all that was happening, her grandmother never wanted to burden her with fears of financial ruin. The invisible barrier between them had widened. Their generational gap became a chasm of unspoken truths and diverging dreams. But as the stakes rose, so did Mia's determination. She imagined the weight of the world pressing down on her grandmother's shoulders, each wrinkle in Helen's hand a story of a battle they could win together. They were facing not just financial corruption but a fight for their dignity, their legacy. As Mia prepared to confront the reality of their situation, she stood on the precipice, caught in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Would her fight to reclaim what was lost strengthen their bond, or unravel it altogether? The next chapter of their lives awaited, and the question loomed. How far would Mia go to protect her grandmother's future? Mia sat in the flickering light of her kitchen, her mind racing with plans. The weight of her discovery felt heavy, like a stone resting on her chest. She needed evidence, something concrete that would allow her to confront the financial advisor, Mr. Larkin. His promises of security had always soothed Helen's worries, but now Mia wondered how many broken dreams hid behind that charm. Tonight's the night, she whispered to herself, grasping a notepad filled with questions that swirled in her thoughts. Each scribbled word represented her resolve, a promise she made to her grandmother. She inhaled deeply, determination flooding her system. There was no way she would let dishonesty steal from Helen's hard work. Mia grabbed her phone and scrolled through the tangled web of emails and documents concerning Helen's investments. She tapped on the message that had started it all, shaking her head at how blind she had been to the true nature of Mr. Larkin. His smooth words and convincing demeanor had lulled Helen into a false sense of security. It was time to break that facade, to shine light on deceit. That evening, Mia decided to confront Mr. Larkin on his turf. After researching financial regulations and gathering information on suspicious activities in his past, she steeled herself. As she headed to his office, her heart raced. A mix of fear and adrenaline coursed through her. This was her grandstand moment. At the entrance to the sleek, modern building she paused. The glass facade seemed to mock her, reflecting her anxious expression. With a deep breath she pushed the door open, walking inside, determined to stand her ground. As she entered his office, the ostentatious decor hit her with an overwhelming sense of contrast. Larkin looked up from his desk, a condescending smile creasing his lips. "Mia," he greeted, cordial yet patronizing. "What a surprise. What can I do for you?" "I want to talk about Grandma's investments," Mia said, trying to keep her voice steady. Mr. Larkin leaned back, fingers steepled, the smile fading a bit. "Of course, dear. What's on your mind?" "I'm aware of how you've been managing her money," Mia continued, pressing forward. "The reports don't add up. There's something wrong and I need answers." His laughter echoed around the room, dismissive and loud. "Listen, young lady, your many trips and lavish lifestyle, it makes no sense," Mia interrupted. "How long do you think you can keep pulling the wool over her eyes?" His eyes narrowed, almost threateningly. "You should tread carefully, Mia. These are serious accusations." Her pulse quickened, but resolution surged within her. "The only accusation is against you. I'm not letting you ruin her life. I'll do what it takes to uncover the truth." Sparks of tension ignited in the air, and distinct fear mingled with hope. Mia felt the weight of generations behind her motivation coursing through her veins, as she prepared to expose someone's true nature. As she turned to leave, sensing the gravity of what she might have set in motion, Larkin's voice called after her. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." Mia's heart thundered as she stepped through the door. She hadn't just crossed a threshold into the world of finance. She had taken her first brave step into a battleground. Could her pursuit of truth protect Helen, or would it place them both in more danger? Doubt loomed, intertwining with a fierce longing for justice. The stakes had never been higher, and Mia stood ready to face the repercussions. What lengths was she willing to go to protect her grandmother? The next phase of this struggle was just beginning, and she could feel the storm brewing on the horizon. Mia stumbled out of the building, her heart still racing as adrenaline coursed through her veins. The echo of Larkin's words felt like a warning bell, reverberating in her mind. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." The threat lingered, a cold shiver that coaxed doubt into her determination as she navigated the city streets. The vibrant energy around her felt oddly numb, muted by the weight of her mission. She was alone in her fight, but she refused to feel isolated. Thoughts of her grandmother filled her head, their afternoons spent together, laughing over shared memories, compiling pages of recipes, and words of wisdom Helen had shared over the years. Mia's resolve solidified. It was for those moments that she had to carry on, to fight without backing down. Home at last, she plopped down at her desk under a flood of dim light. The glow illuminated her notepad, whose pages were filled with frantic notes, but also the heartache she carried. What should she do next? The idea of digging deeper into Larkin's dealings flickered like a city skyline at twilight, exciting yet uncertain. She began typing on her laptop. Researching Larkin's company and uncovering any evidence of wrongdoing became her obsession. Hours passed and her eyes grew weary, yet she pushed through, fueled by a blend of caffeine and determination. Then a notification pinged on her screen. An email from an old friend, Sam, who worked in finance. Mia's heart surged. Sam had always been sharp, and he'd expressed interest in scams in the industry. Maybe he could lend some insight. She quickly typed a response, laying out her findings and asking for advice. The screen blinked at her. "Please help me." As the minutes turned into hours, Mia's eyelids felt heavy and the room grew quieter. She was about to give in to fatigue when her phone buzzed. It was Sam. "Let us meet tomorrow, Mia. I think I can help. Bring what you have." An unexpected jolt of hope filled her. Could she find a way forward? When had her life turned into this whirlwind of chaos? But amidst the anxiety swirled a thrill of potential. The next morning, the sun splashed through her window, washing everything in golden light. Mia dressed quickly, her nerves electric with anticipation. She was reminded of her grandmother's advice. Fortune favors the bold. Today would be a test of that courage. Navigating the busy coffee shop, she spotted Sam at a corner table. He looked up, a mix of concern and determination on his face. She slid into the chair across from him, her stomach tight. "I'm glad you came." I'm here to help, he said, his brow furrowed. What do you have? Mia laid out the evidence she'd amassed. The glaring discrepancies in her grandmother's statements and the lavish lifestyle Larkin seemed to flaunt. As she spoke, Sam's expression morphed from curiosity to disbelief, and finally to something resembling anger. This isn't just negligence, Mia. This looks like fraud. Her breath hitched. I knew it, but I wouldn't have figured it out without you. Sam leaned closer. We need to be careful. You're exposing yourself to more than just bad investments. You could be stepping into a dangerous situation. We need to go to the authorities, but what? She pressed. Sam hesitated. What if he finds out before we're ready? We need a plan, a way to protect you and your grandmother if this blows up. Panic twisted in her chest, but she couldn't let fear dictate the next steps. Mia glanced out the window, watching passersby with a sudden urgency. How many others were unaware of what lurked beneath their financial security? Could she really expose this man? Just then, her phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Larkin. I advise you to stay out of matters beyond your understanding, Mia. Consider this a warning. The words sent a chill down her spine. Suddenly, she understood the stakes weren't just about money anymore. It was about safety, her grandmother's future, and the resolve of a young woman ready to fight. The final pieces of the puzzle clicked into place, but that also meant diving deeper into dangerous waters. Would she become the target? And what if Larkin was more powerful than she ever imagined? Mia took a deep breath. The next moment could change everything. We have to act now, she said to Sam, the fire of determination igniting once more. Where would her courage lead her? It was time to stand against the storm brewing ahead. Mia could feel her heartbeat thundering in her ears. She exchanged an anxious look with Sam, the urgency of the moment pressing down on them both. It was time to elevate their plan. No more lingering decisions or speculation. They needed action, not just words. First, Sam said, glancing around the packed coffee shop to ensure they weren't being overheard, we gather everything we know on Larkin. Every email, every financial statement. If we're going to report him, we need a solid case. Mia nodded, her mind racing. Okay, I'll compile all my notes and documents tonight. But we need to create a timeline too. It'll help visualize the pattern he's following. Smart move. His eyes sparked with encouragement. And while you're at it, think about any witnesses. Anyone who can back up your story. Mia bit her lip. There's Mrs. Jennings, the neighbor. She noticed strange things. And I could reach out to a couple of my grandmother's friends, see if they had similar issues. You're on the right track. Sam leaned back in his chair, crossed his arms, and carefully considered their next step as they strategized. Mia's mind lingered back to Larkin's text. Sam, he knows I'm looking into him. What if he tries to intimidate me? I can't put my grandma at risk. Sam shook his head. This is exactly why we need to be cautious. We should probably consider contacting a lawyer too. The words spun through Mia's head, her resolve hardening with each passing moment. They were crossing lines she never imagined she would. I'll talk to my grandma, she said, voice steady. She's been through a lot more than I have. If we're doing this, she deserves to be in the loop. Good call, Sam agreed, though Mia could sense the tension still lingering in the air. The coffee shop buzzed around them, yet all she could hear was the sound of her heartbeat and Larkin's chilling warning echoing in her mind. After finishing their coffee, they headed out into the cool, fresh air. Mia felt a surge of determination. Let's south go to your place, Sam suggested. We can start compiling everything together. As they walked, the city felt different. The people on the sidewalks bustled by, unknowing of the storm brewing beneath the surface. Mia tried to suppress her anxiety, focusing instead on the glimmer of hope. What if they could make a difference? Once at her apartment, papers sprawled out across the dining table. Mia felt overwhelmed but committed. Each piece of evidence was a step forward. Hours blurred into one another as they worked side by side, fueled by determination and the ever-growing fear of what Larkin might do. Then, Mia received another text, breaking the tense concentration of the room. It was from her grandmother. My dear, can you come visit tonight? I feel we need to talk about some things. A knot tightened in her chest. Oh no, what if she's caught wind of something? What if Larkin's reached her? Sam looked concerned. Are you sure it's a good idea to go? Mia squared her shoulders. I have to. She's my family. I can't let fear keep me away. All right, then let us prepare to go. Sam's voice was calm but filled with urgency as Mia readied herself to leave. She shot off a quick message to her grandmother, assuring her she'd be there shortly. When she arrived at her grandma's house, the warmth of familiarity enveloped her. But the looming fear nagged at her, a constant reminder of what was at stake. Mia? Helen's voice was soft, but it carried a weight. She stood in the doorway with a mixture of worry and love. We need to talk. Mia's hands trembled slightly. Is it about Larkin? Sit with me, dear. As they settled onto the couch, Mia's heart raced. She could feel the walls of the room close in, and reality pressed down on her as she braced for whatever revelation would come next. What do you know, Grandma? Mia pushed, the tightness in her chest growing lastingly heavy. Helen sighed, her eyes glistening. It's time we discuss the truth about my past and how it ties into Larkin. Mia felt a jolt of fear and curiosity mix. What was her grandmother hiding? Would it change everything they had worked for? The air thickened with an unspoken truth, leaving Mia more anxious than ever. What would her grandmother reveal? This journey was getting deeper and darker, and she was about to learn just how intricately linked her family story was to Larkin's web of deceit. Mia settled into the couch, her hands clenched tightly on her lap. She was terrified of what Helen might say, but the urge to know was too great. The room felt heavy, as if it held secrets long buried. Helen took a deep breath, her gaze focused. You remember when we talked about my youth, about how I moved here all those years ago? There's more to that story. Mia nodded, her heart racing. It was a good life. You made it so for me. No, Mia. It wasn't just good. It was complicated. I escaped from a situation that still haunts me. Helen's voice trembled where it normally rang with confidence. Larkin, he wasn't just my landlord, dear. He was part of a larger scheme, one that involved your grandpa. Mia's mind blanked for a moment. What do you mean? Was Grandpa involved with Larkin? Not directly, but the people he was associated with. They crossed paths with Larkin years ago. I thought we were safe, but it seems our past has come back to threaten our present. Helen's eyes shimmered, revealing the pain of memories long kept hidden. Mia leant forward, desperate for clarity. You need to explain this to me, Grandma. How does it link to what's happening now? Helen wiped a tear from her cheek. The event that forced us away from our old home, it was perfectly orchestrated. Larkin, he was responsible. He wasn't just an innocent bystander. He was the one who wanted us out. He saw something in your grandfather and thought he could gain from it. Mia felt a knot tighten in her chest. So you think he's after our money? After the house? Yes, but it's more than that, Helen continued, the weight of her revelations passing between them. He knows about me. He knows that I have kept things hidden. These truths could come back to hurt us both. Mia's stomach churned. What do we do? How do we stop him? First, we need to connect the dots. I believe if we can gather enough evidence of Larkin's activities, it could expose him. But he won't take this lightly. He'll retaliate. Then let him. The fire in Mia's belly surged. I feel stronger knowing you've lived through this before. If you could survive it, we can face him. Helen smiled faintly, but it felt heavy under the circumstances. You're just like your grandfather. Brave, tenacious, but also I fear headstrong. We need to be smart about this. Mia felt a mixture of determination and fear, a swirl of emotions that left her breathless. So what's our plan? Let us lay it out, Grandma. Helen leaned closer, her voice barely a whisper. We need to find the records of our apartment from before we moved, the financial statements, everything. It'll lead us back to Larkin's schemes. I might have some old contact information, but then we must also be careful. Trust doesn't come easy in this world, and Larkin has connections that run deep. The words hung in the air as the reality of the situation sank in. They weren't just dealing with a landlord. They were up against a man who knew how to play the game and had played it for far too long. Let us start tonight, Mia urged. I'll help you search. We can attack this together. Helen squeezed her hand, her grip steadying them both. Then we'll have to prepare. We might not be ready for the war that's coming, but we need to be on the right side of the fight. As they began discussing the details, Mia couldn't shake the feeling of darkness creeping back in. Larkin's figure loomed larger in her mind, and as they formulated their plan, The weight of their mission settled heavily on her shoulders. But no matter the danger, she now held the knowledge of her family's secrets. Whatever came next, she felt a new strength rising within her. They were readying for battle not just for money, but for safety and truth. Could they withstand what Larkin might throw at them? Would their combined strength be enough to unmask him? In that moment, uncertainty hung in the air, and Mia's heart raced with the thought. What could Larkin's next move be? The night draped itself in darkness as Mia and Helen rummaged through old boxes in the dim light of the living room. Dust particles swirled around them, ghostly reminders of past years. Mia felt a mix of excitement and fear with each item they pulled out, revealing pieces of her family history. Helen leaned over the stack of boxes labeled with fading markers. I think the financial statements should be in here somewhere, she murmured, her brow furrowing in concentration. Mia stood close, her heart racing as she watched her grandmother shuffle through the papers. What exactly are we looking for, Grandma? Mia asked, trying to keep her voice steady. What will this prove? Every detail counts, Helen replied, clutching a frayed envelope. If we can show that Larkin was involved in any shady business related to our old place, it could paint a different picture of who he is, and maybe even uncover some of his connections. As Helen unfolded a yellowed document, pride mixed with apprehension welled up in Mia. You were brave to leave that life, Grandma, she said softly. But how did you even find the courage? Helen paused, a hint of a smile gracing her lips. Sometimes the will to protect someone you love is all the courage you need. She looked deeply into Mia's eyes. And I see that same fire in you. Mia felt emboldened. The weight of her family's past surged through her as she dug deeper, searching for hints of Larkin's involvement. The night stretched on, each paper examined as if it were a clue to a hidden treasure. Suddenly, Mia's fingers brushed against something cool and metallic. She pulled out a small tarnished key with a label attached. Storage Unit 3A. Her heart raced. What's this for? Helen's eyes widened, reflecting a mixture of surprise and concern. That's from our old apartment. It's possible it could lead us to something Larkin never wanted anyone to find. Let us go. Let us check it out now. Mia's excitement bubbled over. The adrenaline shot through her veins. She glanced at Helen, who hesitated. It's late and we don't know what we might find, Helen cautioned, her voice woven with worry. Grandma, we're already in this. He might not expect us to go this far. Mia sensed the urgency bubbling within her. If we wait, the evidence could disappear. Finally, Helen nodded reluctantly, a flicker of courage igniting in her eyes. Fine. But we'll go cautiously. I won't put you in danger. Together they headed out into the night. A heavy silence enveloped them as they drove, each mile filled with unspoken words. Mia's heartbeat thrummed in her ears, a constant reminder of the risk they were about to take. But she felt empowered, an inexplicable bond forming stronger between her and Helen with each passing moment. Arriving at the storage facility, they parked in the shadows, the flickering light above sending eerie shadows across the pavement. Helen pulled out the key, her hands trembling slightly. This is where it all began, she whispered. Mia nodded, steeling herself. We can't turn back now. Whatever we find could change everything. As they approached the unit, Mia's mind raced. What secrets were hidden behind those doors? What had her grandmother kept locked away? Helen hesitated, her voice quaking with a mix of dread and determination. Are you ready, Mia? Always, Mia responded, a fierce resolve in her heart. When the lock clicked open, they slowly swung the door wide. What lay inside felt like a portal to their past. Shadows danced around them as they stepped in, unease gnawing at their edges, and then, as the light from their flashlights illuminated the dark space, they saw a dusty chest in the corner. Its presence stirred with both fear and curiosity as Mia's fingers tingled in anticipation. Should we open it? Mia whispered, the excitement palpable in the air. With a tentative nod, Helen stepped forward. Yes, but let us be ready for anything. As they lifted the lid, what they discovered inside would change everything they thought they knew about Larkin and themselves. What truths awaited them beyond the veil of mystery? As the lid creaked open, a thick layer of dust drifted into the stale air, swirling like unspoken secrets yet to be unveiled. Mia's heart pounded almost audibly as she blinked at the sight laid before them. Inside the chest were stacks of old letters, yellowed with age, and a small photo album tucked into the corner. Helen reached in, her fingers trembling as they brushed against the fragile pages. "Do you see this?" Helen murmured, picking a letter from the pile. Her eyes widened as she read the name scrawled at the top. This is from Larkin. Mia, this could change everything." Mia leaned closer, peering at the elegant handwriting. Each letter seemed like a brush stroke, revealing emotions that lay dormant for years. Helen's face paled as she processed the contents of the letter, her breath catching in her throat. "What does it say?" Mia urged, her curiosity igniting. "He.s. discussing his plans, but not just about the business." Helen's voice trembled. "It talks about our family, about the risks, people he was involved with. There are names here I recognize." Mia's stomach churned. Could this be the evidence they needed? She watched as Helen's brow furrowed, the weight of the past anchoring them in that moment. "Read it aloud, Grandma, every word matters." Mia took a step back, trying to digest the implications of the discovery. Helen's lips moved soundlessly for a moment before she finally found her voice. "He refers to a man named Victor, someone who pressured him for more control in the business dealings. If I don't comply, the consequences could be dire," he writes. Mia's heart sank. So he was involved in something bigger, something dangerous? "Is that why you left?" Helen nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I had to protect you, Mia. I couldn't let you fall into the same trap. But I never had concrete proof until now." Mia could see the weight of regret on her grandmother's face, mingling with the newfound resolve. They needed to keep going to uncover more. "Let us check the photo album," Mia suggested, reaching for the small worn book. She felt a pulse of excitement, wondering what memories it held. Carefully, they flipped through the pages, revealing photographs of family gatherings, holidays, and moments that felt like lifetimes ago. Then, in the back of the album, they stumbled upon a picture that caught Mia's eye. It showed a younger version of Larkin, standing beside a striking woman whose expression was both fierce and captivating. "Who is she?" Mia whispered, entranced. Helen squinted at the photo, her hand freezing mid-turn. That's Victor's sister, Isabel. I was warned to stay away from her. She had her own dark connections. If Larkin was close to her, it complicates everything." A chill ran down Mia's spine. The web of intrigue was growing thicker, and with it the stakes. "What does this mean for us?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We have to dive deeper into their past," Helen replied, a glint of determination sparking in her eyes. "This isn't just about Larkin. This is about protecting our family legacy and keeping you safe." Mia felt a rush of adrenaline. They had uncovered a small piece of the mystery, but it opened countless doors. "Then let's find out everything we can. We can't let fear hold us back." As they gathered the letters and the photo album, a sense of urgency pulsed through Mia. The night's chill deepened around them, but the promise of revelations warmed her spirit. Helen paused, glancing toward the storage unit door. "We need to be cautious, Mia. Larkin could still have people watching." Before she could finish her thought, the echo of footsteps outside pulled their attention. A sinking feeling settled in Mia's gut. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, eyes wide in astonishment. "Yes," Helen answered, her voice steady but her posture tightening. "We might have company just then." A shadow flickered across the entrance, and both women froze, hearts pounding in unison. Who was out there? And what did they want? The secrets they had unearthed were just the beginning, but now, they had to decide how far they were willing to go to protect each other. And the truth. The footsteps grew louder, reverberating through the cramped space like a distant thunderstorm. Mia's mind raced. Who could it be? Was it someone connected to Larkin? Or a stranger drawn to the whispers of secrets they had unearthed? She shared a quick glance with Helen. Both of their breaths caught in their throats as tension thickened the air. "Stay quiet," Helen whispered, her voice barely audible as she edged toward the door, straining to listen. The footsteps stopped just outside the unit. Mia's heart raced. They had to act quickly. Should they try to hide? She glanced around, searching for a place to blend in. But the small storage unit offered little more than clutter and the shadows of their past. In that moment there was a knock, a loud, deliberate knock followed by a voice. "I know you're in there," the voice said, deep and gruff. "We just want to talk. Let us not make this complicated." Mia exchanged a worried look with Helen. "Do you know who that is?" she whispered, a chill skimming her spine. Helen shook her head slowly, fear swirling in her eyes. But beneath that fear, a flicker of determination ignited. We can't let them in. Not yet. We need to stick together. Then what do we do? Helen's mind clearly raced, strategizing their next move. We need to make sure we're not caught off guard. If they know what we've found, her voice trailed off, leaving the threat hanging in the air. Another knock echoed through the silence. I want to say it again. Come out before you regret it. The edge in the voice sent shivers down Mia's spine. What do they want? What do they know? Helen glanced at the letters in her hand, then back at Mia. We have to be smart. Whatever they're after, it has to do with what we're holding. We need a plan to distract them just long enough to grab the letters and get out. Mia felt torn. Everything was happening so fast, and her instincts screamed for her to abandon the chest and run. But then she thought of Larkin's letter, of the dark history tied to her family. If they walked away now, they might never understand their past. What if we confront them? Mia suggested, her voice shaky yet bold. No. Helen's eyes widened in alarm. That could end badly, Mia. We need to weigh our options. Be calm. But as Helen spoke, the door started to creak open, the figure of a man silhouetted against the dim light. His face was obscured, but the presence was imposing, sending a chill through Mia. Last chance, he called, his voice low and menacing. We're not leaving without what's ours. Panic surged within Mia's chest. She felt trapped, cornered by the past and the looming threat of the unknown. Helen stepped in front of her, embodying a protective instinct she had always admired. Let us hide the letters now, Helen urged, rushing to the back of the unit, hoping they could buy themselves a moment just to think. As they hastily shoved the letters into a worn backpack, the man stepped inside, the door swinging fully open to reveal a rough-cut face and eyes filled with desperation and intent. What's this about, Larkin? He barked, casting a glance around the cramped space. Where's the evidence? Mia's breath hitched. They were right in the line of fire, seconds away from a confrontation that could shatter everything they had tried to protect. Who are you? Mia blurted out, her heart thudding against her ribcage. The man's lips curled into a sly smile, one that sent a wave of dread washing over her. You'll find out soon enough. But be careful with your next move. You might not be the only one with something to lose. With that, he stepped back, leaving an air of unease hanging in the now silent unit. Mia looked at Helen, her stomach twisting. Now what do we do? She asked, her voice trembling. Helen's grip on her shoulder tightened, a reassuring yet shaky bond of strength. We fight back. We cannot let them take what's rightfully ours. This is just the beginning. But as the door swung back closed behind him, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that they had just crossed a line that could lead to irreversible consequences. Who was this man? And how far would they really have to go to protect their family? Mia's heart pounded in her chest as she struggled to process the man's words. The air felt thick and oppressive, every second that passed stretching the tension like a taut wire ready to snap. She looked at the letters crammed in the backpack, each one a thread to a past they had barely begun to unravel. What does he mean, what's rightfully ours? Mia whispered, her voice barely carrying the weight of her confusion. Helen's jaw clenched, fury brewing just beneath the surface. I don't know, but we have to protect those letters. They might be the key to everything. Their decision made, they crouched in the shadows of the unit, straining to hear any sound from outside. Every creak of the building felt magnified. A chill swept through Mia as she imagined what would happen if those men found them unprepared. Minutes felt like hours. Just when she thought they might be safe, the door flew open again, this time with little restraint. The imposing figure of the man returned, flanked by two others, both of them equally rugged and indifferent. Search the place, he ordered, stepping further in. They have to be around here somewhere. Mia gasped, pressing tighter against the wall, a prayer whispering through her mind. What are we going to do? Helen's eyes darted around the cluttered space, her thoughts racing. If they find us, she squeezed Mia's hand, grounding her. We can't let that happen. We need a distraction. Before Mia could comprehend, Helen had grabbed a metal rod from the corner, a remnant of something long forgotten. When I give the signal, create chaos. Just trust me, okay? Mia nodded, though fear gnawed at her like a hungry beast. She watched as Helen positioned herself near the door, the tension palpable. Let us move. The man barked, advancing deeper into their sanctuary. With a sharp breath, Helen lunged forward, swinging the metal rod against some shelving, sending it crashing to the floor. The sound echoed violently, filling the air with chaos. Over there, one of the men shouted, rushing toward the noise. Mia seized the chance and darted out from her hiding spot, clutching the backpack tightly against her side as she bolted toward the exit. Adrenaline kicked in, propelling her forward. The man whipped around, but Mia was already out the door, scrambling down the narrow hall. Helen followed close behind, the loud curse of their pursuer reverberating in their ears. Go. Keep moving. Helen urged, urgency charging every word. They made their way through the labyrinth of forgotten belongings, the world outside becoming more real with each step. But the thudding footsteps behind them told a different story. A chase had begun, one that would shatter their hidden safety. Where do we go? Where do we hide? Mia gasped, feeling the weight of the backpack pulling at her shoulders. We need a car. We need to get as far away from here as possible, Helen replied, glancing over her shoulder. Breathless, they stumbled outside into the cold evening air. The sun was setting, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch in warning. Cars lined the lot, empty spaces waiting for their escape. Suddenly, a figure stepped out from behind a car, silhouetted against the fading light. It was another man, but unlike the others, a familiar face with kindness in his eyes. Mia. Helen. He called out, urgency lacing his voice. Get over here. Panic twisted in Mia's stomach. Was he friend or foe? Trust him, Helen urged, pulling Mia towards the stranger. He can help us. As they ran toward the man, the sounds of chaos faded into the distance, but new dangers were imminent. Mia couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of their unraveling journey. Were they truly safe or just trading one threat for another? She turned back toward the storage unit, dread pooling in her gut. What had they awakened? And what would it cost to uncover the truth? The mystery deepened, and they were about to step into a world of secrets more dangerous than they could imagine. Mia clutched the backpack tightly as they rushed towards the stranger. His familiar face triggered a flicker of hope deep within her heart. Alex! She exclaimed, relief washing over her. He was an old family friend, someone she had always admired for his brave spirit and steady resolve. Mia, we don't have much time, Alex said urgently, glancing back toward the looming darkness enveloping the storage facility. I saw the men, they've been watching the place. We need to get out of here now. Helen's eyes sparkled with gratitude and worry as they hurried into Alex's car parked nearby. What are you doing here? She asked, fastening her seatbelt with shaking hands. I was following Larkin, Alex explained, his grip firm on the steering wheel. I had some suspicions, and when I saw you two, I knew you were in over your heads. You can't tackle this alone. Fear surged within Mia as the weight of their task pressed down on her. It wasn't just about money anymore. It was their safety at stake. We found letters, evidence against him, she said, her breathless voice barely above a whisper. And they know you're onto them, Alex warned. We'll go to my place. You two can be safe there. The cold wind rushed through the open window, her cheeks stinging but clearing her mind. They raced away from the storage unit, leaving uncertainty and danger behind. As the city lights blurred past, Mia felt a new sense of purpose ignite. They were no longer just two women against the world. They had each other, and now a plan was unfolding. Hours later, gathered in Alex's small but cozy apartment, they spread the letters on the table. Helen's hands trembled slightly as she refocused on their new mission. These letters are a starting point, she said, her voice steadied by determination. Mia glanced at Alex, who was flipping through the documents, his brows knitted in concentration. This could tie Larkin to the connections he has with Victor and Isabel, he stated. We can take this to the authorities, but only if we're certain they'll protect us. Do you think they can? Mia asked, her heart pounding with skepticism. There's only one way to find out, Alex replied firmly. If we can show them a pattern of corruption, we have a fighting chance. Mia's mind raced with possibilities. The stakes were high, and as they strategized, a sense of unity blossomed. They weren't just fighting for Helen's nest egg. They were reclaiming their power, fighting against the shadows that tried to define their lives. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting a warm glow on the city, an idea struck Mia. We should reach out to Mrs. Jennings and my grandma's friends. They might have stories or evidence just like ours. Helen smiled, pride swelling in her heart. You are so much like your grandfather, Mia. Brave. We can't let fear rule our lives. We have to stand strong. Fueled by newfound energy, Mia and Helen set out to gather support, buoyed by Alex's presence. They met with neighbors and friends, sharing their story and encouraging others to step forward. Each shared memory or experience became a piece of the puzzle, weaving them into a collective strength. The community rallied. They gathered documentation, stories, and connections over the next few days, forming an undeniable case against Larkin's corrupt practices. Finally, with everything in hand, they presented their findings to the authorities. Days turned into weeks, and soon Larkin's schemes began to unravel as the investigation blossomed from their efforts. With each twist revealed in the story, Mia felt a weight lifting. They had ignited a movement, shining a light on deceit where once there had been silence. When the news broke that Larkin's oppressive grasp was finally being dismantled, Mia stood beside her grandmother, tears of joy streaming down their faces. We did it, Grandma, she whispered, enveloping Helen in a warm embrace. Yes, sweetheart, Helen replied, her voice full of love and relief. We didn't just protect our family. We revived our community. It's a lesson we won't forget. As the sun set that evening, painting the sky in vibrant hues, a sense of peace washed over Mia. She hadn't just fought for money or safety. She had discovered the strength of familial bonds and community. They had transformed adversity into empowerment, wrapping their shared history in resilience. Looking around her, Mia knew this was only the beginning, a chapter closed, but many more to be written. The legacy they had forged felt unshakable. They stepped into this new chapter, hearts full of hope, ready to tackle whatever life threw their way. And as they did, they shared a knowing glance, a silent promise to face any storm together. They were family, bound by courage, love, and unwavering hope. Now it's your turn to be part of this journey. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that illuminate the power of love and bravery. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and bring more inspiring tales to life. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread this message far and wide.